I want to share with you guys 1 to 3 points that will resonate with you because we're at different places of our career and our lives. And a lot of it is going to have to do with mindset. But the first thing that's important is for us to recognize what it is that we're doing this for. Okay, that has to be crystal clear. And when I say by doing this for, I mean the 1,000 tasks and responsibilities we have of building a successful career. Okay, because we already have crossed the line of the most important part, which was having the golden ticket. And the golden ticket is our license. For those of you guys that have heard me speak before, the greatest value for me is having the license, having the permission that my signature creates generational wealth for the people that work with me. I need you guys to recognize the power in that statement. Each one of you, even though now we're all doing DocuSign, AuthentiSign, and it's all e-docs, but it's still your signature that you're testifying to, that you're confirming, hitting enter, that you're signing off on, that is allowing you to create generational wealth for the people that you serve. And even if you have your license to build investments and to have passive income, that's the icing on the cake. But one thing that we undermine as licensed practitioners, and if you listen carefully to the verbiage I use, I believe and I live these words. Yes, there's real estate salespeople, but you get to determine with that license if you're a salesperson or if you're a licensed practitioner. And we are all licensed practitioners in our space. And it is our signature and our consultations create generational wealth. You know the frustration of rent. You have the Grant Cardone philosophy of, hey, I never need to buy. I'm just going to rent because I'm going to have investments. Same philosophy of understanding the power and the challenges of creating that first property of your investment portfolio. Now take consideration of those of you that do own a home, what you felt like when you bought your first home. And you guys might still be in your first home, maybe. But we do know that our first home usually wasn't our dream home. Unless you have a lot of wealth or have been given these assets, our first home usually isn't our dream home. But if you go back and think about it, I'm going to briefly share with you myself. My very first home, I was 24 years old maybe, and I slept outside of a building in San Francisco for 3 days called 88 Townsend. That was the address, 88 Townsend. I slept outside with my wife. At that time, she might have been my fiance, but we slept outside for 3 days because there was about 60 units being sold in 3 different phases. And it was an entry home for us. It was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, maybe had a den, and it was for $412,000. And this is in 2002, 2003. That same unit today is worth maybe about 850, 900. And it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and it's across street from the ballpark in San Francisco. So yes, the numbers sound crazy, but that's how the Bay Area is. It is crazy. And I don't believe it's worth it. But we slept outside because one, we were excited, and two, we wanted to get into the first phase because of every new development, as the phases continue growing, those first and previous phase buyers have immediate equity. And I also didn't have a lot of money. But my mom said, she taught me because I didn't know, and you guys do know, so you got to educate these folks that it only takes 3.5% down payment for a first-time home buyer. And for me, 15,000 bucks or so, I went and got my real estate license to use my license to get the commission from the developer, which was to replenish my down payment. That was how I started my home buying journey. Then when we closed, before we even moved in, because now they were selling the third phase, we sold that home and made about $20,000 to $30,000 of equity within 3 weeks and never moved into the unit. And we took that money and we put a down payment on a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. I share this story with you because these stories happen all the time, but the importance is who's the one that helped them create that. And you need to have the license to be able to do that. And what we do is when we get our license, we undermine our influence and our ability to impact generations. Why? Because when we cold call, they're sick of getting cold called. When we door knock, we don't want to be a door knocker, or I'm not going to go door knock. When we farm or mail, it's too expensive. I can't afford that. When we want to make social media videos. We have 20 videos on our phone and haven't posted one because my face was sideways, my background was ugly, my shirt was wrong, my spouse told me that you didn't look right or sound right, my friend said that was stupid. I'm giving you all these different examples of what I see hindering people from ultimate growth in this space. Does anything that I shared with you for the first 6 minutes relate or resonate with anyone on this call? Or am I like completely in a different realm? Has anyone felt any of those? Yes, no? Thumbs up. Oh, okay, good. Thank you for the contribution. Because if it doesn't, I don't want to speak about something that you guys like, well, hey, I need the secret sauce. Because yes, there's secret sauce. Thank you guys. Yes, there's secret sauce, but the very first thing that we need to recognize is how important you are in the process. Because we either have never been given that confidence or we forget about it because we're getting beat up by just the world and all the negative noise that we're willing to obtain and consume. I want to share with you that my mentor and direct coach is Tom Ferry. And you guys know the name. The guy's a game changer for any business, but specifically for our industry. And one thing that he taught me of the numerous things that I've engraved in my brain is we can either follow the story or create our own narrative. I want you to know that that is very, very powerful because most people who are not hitting the ultimate or the next level of success, they're following the story. They're following what they think or see and like just want to be a character in it. Social media allows us to create our own narrative. And I see some of you guys are crushing it out there. And I want you to know that with the people that are crushing and the people that are not, my social media sucks as far as traction and like fame or whatever you want to call it. But I use social media for one specific reason. I use it to invest in my business. I don't use it to consume. I don't care if people want to leave me comments, hearts. Yeah, it'll help me. But what I really is that if someone Googles my name or goes to the portal and says, who is this guy? What does he do? That it is not blank and it is abundantly filled with value that I can give the public, or at least my ideal avatar of a client. And I want you guys to know most people, they undermine that just because they haven't been given either permission themselves or they've allowed these what I call speed bumps in our careers and our lives. They've allowed these speed bumps to become big walls when they're all just speed bumps. And if you own your success, then don't allow other people to dictate your failures. Think about what I just said to you. Everyone who's ultra successful, mega successful, they have most likely failed 80% of the time and succeeded 20. So if you're not failing consistently to become better, that's one of the reasons that's going to hold you back from where you deserve to be yourself. But it starts by valuing who you are and what you can do with your license. If you treat it like you're just a salesperson, if you treat it like it was a $400 or $500 task, you went and took the test 1 to 5 times and then you pass and now you're like, great. And if you treat it like, well, my neighbor said they're going to help me, my friends, my family, whoever it was, and they disappointed you, God bless them. Because you can either take that disappointment and go into a hole and be like, well, this is it for me. I tried. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm not cut out for it. Or you could use that as a driving force and say, I got to prove all these MFers wrong because that's what drives me. What drives you? See, not everyone's driven by money. So all of us who don't have it, yes, we need it. So I get that. I was me. I'm born Section 8, don't hate. Like I love that line. If it ain't free, it ain't me. That's me. Like I get it. I get it. But one thing that I do recognize is when you hit certain levels of income, you don't just drive and run hard for the money anymore. You run hard for what it means to you and what you can do for the people that you impact. You guys have to recognize that there's four key characteristics in our business that has to have the highest value for you to be successful in this space. Four, everything else can be delegated or is not as valuable. Let me tell you what those four are. The first is your face. You don't have to look pretty. You don't have to look handsome, but you got to look presentable. You got to prove to the public and to the people you want to work with that you're a professional. If you remember, I start off by saying we're a licensed professional. Everything I'm talking about is creating wealth team, by the way. Start, create money, become rich, go into wealth, create time and money. Now you're wealthy, you can impact people. You can leave legacy. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, because we're all going to end in the same place. And my mom always told me, Sina, a hearse is never going to follow you with your assets and be put in your casket. So all that matters is the relationships that you leave behind. And I believe that statement to be very true. So how valuable are your relationships? Going back, the four things. Number one is your face. You have to be able to, if you don't have the confidence, work on building the confidence through failing. 80% of the time of being in front of people because you want to be like me on this message. You might not like my hat, my background. I'm wearing a polo, whatever it is. I don't want to say like I don't care because I respect the folks, but from my goal in my profession, I don't care if you're not my client or if you're not going to provide value to me and I can't help you. It won't matter. That's part of my 80% failure. The second is your energy. People buy your energy. I want you to know we all have problems. We all have headaches. We all have challenges. But there's a couple things as you have more experience in life, not just business, but in life, you start to recognize that no matter how big your problems are, that there are multiple people that are standing in line, an uncountable number of people that are standing in line that are ready to exchange their problems with you. And like, I believe that to be true. When you recognize these details, you're like, hell, I got a problem, but it's not that big of a deal. It's a speed bump, not a wall. The third is your handshake or being present. I know we went through COVID, fist pump, elbow bump, whatever it is, but meaning you're present, you're there. You're gonna guide and with confidence provide value to the people that are putting in trust in you. You're gonna take care of them. If this doesn't go your way, I got your back. If we get the ultimate outcome that you desire, I'm going to help you get it done and then some. And then the fourth is your voice. If you're blessed to have those four things and you're not using them, you're doing yourself and the future people that you impact a disservice. Fortunately for all of us, we have those things, but we don't use them. And the reason why we don't use them is because either other people have beat us up or we have not given ourselves enough chances of failing forward to recognize its value. Because any sport, any competition that you look at, anything that you admire, idolize, whether it's a famous figure, a singer, athlete, whatever it is, actor, I don't know all their history, but I'm pretty certain that they've gone through some really turbulent times, very, very dark down times that they either overcame or that got a lot worse. And they allowed it to happen to them as long as they were mentally sane. And we got to recognize that in this space. So I want you guys to know that most people, they spend 100% of their career building income, but very, very few spend their time building wealth. And the difference in that detail is that, income is what you make, but wealth is what you end up keeping, owning, and creating time freedom. Time freedom. The reason why wealth has to do with time is because over experience, as you start to generate enough income, you're willing to start to no longer exchange your time for money if the money's not right. But in the beginning, you're willing to invest all the time you need to create that value. You guys following me? Yes? Or did I lose you because it's so early and you're like, not another master class, right? All right. This one's different. This isn't Chat GPT and this isn't from a book. This is getting into your brains to let you guys know you hold the keys. You hold the freaking keys. You get to determine how many doors you want to open because you hold the keys. And some of us, we're willing to limit ourselves and say, well, I only got one and my key doesn't work. What am I going to do now? Stop asking yourself, is real estate for me or not? And start making yourself be for the business. A lot of people when they start to fail or it doesn't go their way, they're like, well, real estate's not for me. You got to be for the business, not the business be for you. And that difference comes in mindset. So I want to do this. I want to give you guys a chance. If this resonated with any one of you, and you're like, well, how do I cross that bridge to get into this space that you're referring to, Sina? I want to give you a chance. You can unmute yourselves, and you can ask me a specific question. I will do my best to give you an answer that will apply to the group. But we're all in different phases. There's some folks here that are crushing it, making the income that they want to have. Then there's other folks that are crushing it, maybe not making the income, but having the lifestyle that they have, the freedom that they have. And then there's a good group of us that are like every day, not sure if they want to do this tomorrow. And I want you to know that feeling of like, I want to quit, it doesn't go away. It just becomes less important in your thought process because I'm 23 years in entrepreneur sales and I don't ever want to quit anymore. But for the first 15, 16 years, even after making significant amount of earnings, I always said, I don't want to do this. I'm ready to quit. And that's normal. And I see the smiles, the head nods. Yes, someone unmuted on purpose, accident. No?
Accident.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. All right. So what we want to do is I'll continue, and then if there's any questions you guys want to ask me, you can. But one thing that you want to do is that the average person will get trapped in a cycle. And the cycle is prospect, close, you get paid, you spend money, then you start over. Right? Is that what most people do? And so you're like, well, I'm having trouble getting paid, right? Well, we gotta work on that. But it's prospecting, closing, getting paid, spending money, then starting over. What does the wealthy agent do? They prospect, they close, they invest. Then they acquire assets, you build passive income, then you create leverage. Now, when I say invest, which is the third stage, that's the that's the example of the first scenario where I said you prospect, close, you get paid. When you're pursuing wealth, you prospect, close, and you invest. When I say invest, many of you guys are thinking, well, that means a lot of money. That means now I have enough money to go buy things. No, when I say invest, I'm talking about pouring value that's going to give you an ROI. It can mean in yourself. Strengthen yourself. If you earn the income to go become better in this space, pursue doing that. Everyone who scaled in real estate, they either did it by paying sweat equity or check equity, but they made a price, and everyone's paying a pain. You know, it's amazing that those that don't have the success, and success, by the way, team, I'm not all about money. Okay. For you guys that don't know me, I'm not like some wealthy, snobby, MFR. It's like that's all it is. And if you don't have money, you're no one to me. I'm actually the furthest from that. But what's very important is that the definition of success is different to each one of us. But what is important is that you're pursuing yourself to not only achieve that, but get to a place to where you can help others get there, because then you go from just making money and having all the income that you desire to leaving an impact and helping others. It's all about paying it forward. Imagine if every one of us lived the mindset of paying it forward, what a different world we would have, right? I'm very skeptical of folks because I've been burned, and I've also been in really difficult positions to where like people, you know, but if those things never happened, imagine how great it would be to where no one has a hidden agenda and everyone's here to help one another. Well, nothing's wrong with us being those people, but we have to be able to create success for ourselves to start other people having success. And that starts with putting value. Start of this call, I want you guys to recognize that if you treat this license like just being a salesperson, then hopefully you earn the income that what you believe a salesperson should make. But if you treat this license as being a practitioner, when I say practitioner, most of you guys are thinking about a doctor, probably. Maybe you're thinking about a lawyer. Maybe you're thinking about a CPA. There is no difference between them and us. Zero. And if they look down upon it because they went to 12 years, 13 years of school, they came out with three, $400,000 of debt, that's their problem. That's not your problem. You just chose to get the same or greater results with a $400 or $500 investment and 3 months of education. You get to determine who made the better choice. And by the way, not everyone's going to need a surgeon. Not everyone's going to need a lawyer. But every single one of these folks that want to come and buy a property and want to do it compliantly and want someone to look out for them, they're going to need a licensed practitioner. And that licensed practitioner is the license that you hold. You guys agree with that? Or you guys think that this is mumbo jumbo? If you think it's mumbo jumbo, you're going to stay exactly where you are. When you agree with that, you start to scale. And one of the most important things, and I'm going to go back to Tom, is that we have to run and operate at the highest and best use of our time. The highest and best use of our time. What that means is that if you're going to go out and do a listing presentation, and let's just say you fail, guys, for those of you guys that have spent time with me, I always give you the hard ones. I never do role play where it's easy and it's like, great job, you did it well. No, I give you the hard objections to make you better because we already know you overcome the easy ones. But if you go do a listing presentation and you don't come out winning, don't get in your car and go home a loser. Come out and go visit the neighbors and go home with a little bit of win instead of a grand slam. These are the examples that I want to give you because I know that when we go in there and we do a listing presentation and we come out and we're gassed out and they're like, well, I'm going to interview four more agents, or I'm not really sure, or tell me about what homes you've sold. And this applies if you're brand new, because if you deliver those four areas that I spoke about on level 10, and you're the one that perfects that, your face, your presentation, be crispy. You don't have to go and get a Hugo Boss or Versace suit, but at least be presentable. Have a decent ironed out polo if you don't have a blazer. Don't go with a hat. Put some gel in your hair and fix it up if you got to. And if you don't have hair, it's all good. Wear a cool hat or something. I don't know, right? Eventually, I'm going to lose my hair. Here it is, right? But here, I'm giving you guys examples that when you guys go in and you come out gassed out and they beat you up, don't let that dictate how your day is going to end. If there is 4 to 5 houses that are within that vicinity, get out of your comfort zone and go home with a smaller win or maybe a home run. What do I mean by that? Come out, go to the neighbors, knock on the door, give a brief introduction. The person that you did the listing presentation, they don't own the block. Unless they're Rick Ross, they don't own the block. They're not the ones that dictate if you can and can't speak to their neighbors. You decide that. And the good news is since that person who gave the listing appointment gave you an opportunity to go in there, then you're going to use that as your entry to get into the other doors. And you're going to knock on the doors. And this is what you're going to say. And some of you guys might be like, oh, well, does that work? Do it 5 times and tell me it doesn't. But you're going to knock on the door. And I'm not a door knocker. Okay, I'm not a door knocker, but the reason why I'm not a door knocker was because I was willing to hit the phones hard and burn out on the phones, then go knock on doors. But if I'm not getting success in this area, I'm going to go see people. And after the listing presentation, you get out, you go knock on the 5 doors because there's one to the right, one to the left, and hopefully 3 across the street in a traditional neighborhood. You knock on the doors, and this is what you say. They open the door. Hey, who are you? Right? They're like, what do you want? Hi, my name is Sina. I was just visiting with some of your neighbors on this street because they're considering selling, and I wanted to put a face to the name and not be a stranger. Here's my card. If there's anything I can do for you, please take it from me, and I'd love to answer questions for you. By the way, I might be coming back within the next 3 to 5 days. Would you like me to bring you a complimentary analysis of how much equity you have in your home? Did you hear what I just, and it's over. That's it. I didn't say, do you want to buy? Do you want to sell? Do you have an agent? All these thousand things that we read online to go do that might or might not work. I don't know. But what I'm here to do is build a relationship and leave some value before I leave. Because they might say, hey, how much is my house worth? Whose house are you selling? What company do you work with? And the more questions they ask you, they're interested. They're bringing you in. They're bringing you in. And I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna be gassed out after 2 houses, and I'm tired. But I'm getting in my car with a win, because that one person who didn't want to list with me, or is interviewing other people, they're gonna be pretty shocked when they see me next week now talking to their neighbor. You see the value we created for ourselves? Because that's what my license allows me to do. I'm a licensed practitioner, and I have room for clients right now. My schedule is empty. It's my responsibility to fill it up. Not the powers out there. It's my responsibility. Every slot is empty. I got to fill it up. And if I don't fill it up with business, I better fill it up with leisure. And that's what wealth is. Wealth is creating time freedom. And many of you guys, this is not to be personal to anybody, okay? Please, because I want to have a lot of respect. We're all professionals. But many of us were chasing the paper. We're chasing the dollar. Don't chase the paper. Don't chase the dollar. That used to be me. Chase the lifestyle. Chase what it is you want your life to look like in 3, 5, 10 years. Not, well, I got to make money to do that. No, you got to live and act like those parts to be there. You know, there's a statement that says some of us got to see it to believe it, right? Why don't you believe it to see? Because that also applies. We got 3 minutes. If I can provide value to anybody here, specific questions, unmute yourself, take advantage of that opportunity. If it applies to you, maybe someone else who was too shy or wasn't sure, or maybe lacked the confidence, whatever it is, didn't want to ask that question. But I want to make sure you guys leave with some value instead of a motivational speech or mumbo jumbo, because the license you hold, the value is determined by you. And when Tom says operate with the highest and best use of your time, whatever mundane tasks you're doing now, create enough hustle to where those mundane tasks can become outsourced and you focus on those 4 areas that I mentioned to you. And if you can't afford the marketing, last I checked, Instagram was free, Meta was free, LinkedIn was free, Yelp is free. Google business page is free. And I live a line. If it ain't free, it ain't me. You guys with me? Hello? And Nazar's the only one smiling. Damn, man, this is a tough crowd. You guys either really all got beat up with no production last night, or it's too early in some parts of the country. What you guys got for me? 2 minutes. Nada? Nada, Mada?
I love what you said about the doctor's example because I came from Egypt, and Egypt you don't even need a license, so they look further down to you.
I
But
love
if you
that,
have
man.
the value, everybody will respect you.
Amen. Amen, Tark. Thank you for that feedback. All right, Nazar,
You guys,
I want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
listen, I want to take a
Please.
second, and I don't know if the blank stares are just the limiting beliefs that everyone has in their mind, or a lot of people might have in their mind right now saying, "Oh, this doesn't apply to me," or "Oh, and I know that a lot of agents are just like, "Hey, I'm just trying to sell another house. Like, I'm just trying to pay for my car this month or groceries," and I get that. Like, that's definitely a stage of the real estate process. I want to invite you guys to think about knowing just what he was saying. Like when you think about if you can see other people accomplishing those goals, you have two schools of thought. One is, oh, and then you make all the excuses to why they haven't, and you don't. Or two, you're like, dang, if freaking Nazar, this little immigrant dude, can do it, then I most certainly can. Right?
Absolutely.
If
And
they,
Nazar, thanks for adding that. I want to share one more thing. Sorry about that. But
yeah, go
for
for it.
those of you guys that when you're out in the field, and I want to speak to those that don't have enough activity, because if you're crushing it, thank you for spending time with me today. Hopefully you guys got one or two nuggets. But those of you guys that are like, I can generate more, I deserve more. Rock the brand like a polo or decent shirt that shows your name or what you do. Because a lot of people don't open the doors, but they all got Ring cameras. And the best thing you could do is create a scenario to where you knock and you leave like some business card or some handwritten letter. Like have handwritten letters. Hey, this is Sina. I stopped by to introduce myself. I'm going to be in the neighborhood helping your neighbors. Handwritten letter. Have a whole bunch of these ready, and then just put the date that day and leave it like a nice, sincere 2, 3 sentence letter. Leave it because this is what's going to happen. Most neighborhoods with Ring cameras and this app called Nextdoor, it's very common, and Ring, the Ring also has an app feature in there. It's very common for them to post a picture of the person to their house, and they say to the neighborhood, "Does anyone know who this guy is? He was at my house and he left me this letter, or he was at my house and I don't know what he's doing or what he wanted." And then all the neighbors chime in and say, "If you zoom in on his shirt, it says Fiv Realty. If you zoom in on his shirt, he looks like he sells real estate." Like, I want you to know, we get a lot of these from pest control folks all the time. And I'm like, dude, good for this guy who's all over our next door and Ring. And he probably doesn't know it, or he might know it because someone who's got a lot of spiders or pests is going to reach out to him and be like, oh, this guy's here local in the neighborhood. Free branding, free advertising. So never
Speaking,
allow us not having the money to do it.
no,
Yes, Nazar.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think it's really funny. Do you guys know that some of these pest control salespeople that do this door to door, even though as pesky as it is, they'll make like $100,000 within 3 months?
Yeah.
And you guys are too cool to go and door knock, or it's beneath you. Listen, this game's all about meeting people that you don't know and offering your services, right? And here's the cool thing is that I can't think of another industry that has such a low barrier of entry and such a high ROI. I just can't. I don't know what it doesn't exist that I know of. At least we're in one of them, right? Maybe there's some more. And so the good news is you're also in that same industry. This this business will either make you or break you, and the choice is entirely up to you, my friends. If you want to make millions of dollars a year, your choice. If you want to make minimum wage, your choice. Completely up to you, right? Some of us in this room continue to create generational wealth because we invest in our time, we invest in buying property, we invest in other businesses. Some of us are just worrying about what the next season of yada yada show is coming out. And did you see who married who, or did you see that person? Like, if you are a consumer of content, that's all you are. And that's going to suck energy and time and money from you versus being the person that's putting out content, right? So I encourage you guys to spend more time on social media putting information instead of taking it. I invite you guys to say, hey, I'm here and this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. Don't be a secret agent. Get out there, let people know you. And if they don't like you, that's okay too, because that just means that you at least they know your name, right? So anyway, I hope that this call is uplifting for you guys. It most certainly is for me. I hope that you guys will have the desire to say, okay, my first goal is to be able to get to the point where I'm not stressed about my next commission check. And if the answer is I don't know how to do that, then let's figure that out. And then the second is, okay, then how do I start building some wealth? And if you don't own your own home, that's your first step. And maybe your first house that you buy isn't the home that you live in. Have you guys thought of that before? Like there's a person on this call, his name is Christopher Shannon. He's too busy to be on the call. He's on the phone right now, so he can't hear us. But he just bought a duplex, I think, for how much was it? $90,000? How much is your duplex that you bought? Christopher, how
Yeah.
much did you buy your duplex for?
I bought the duplexes for 101 each, so 202.
So he bought the duplexes for $100,000 each.
So $50,000 a door. There's
Oh, right,
two
right, yeah,
duplexes, 4 units.
right. And each side of the duplex rents for 1,100 bucks.
Yeah, so be bringing in $4,400 a month.
So, and that's just like, again, that's a duplex, and he bought two of them. So he has a fourplex basically. But even if you just bought one of those units, there's still property in the United States that you can buy for under $100,000. And in fact, majority of those properties cash flow a heck of a lot better than they do in other parts of the state or other parts of the country. And so if you say, well, Nazar, I don't have enough money, could you afford 20% of $100,000 or $75,000? Now you may not want to live there. Chris definitely doesn't want to live there, but he doesn't. He's not the one that's living there. If you could
Well, and
afford,
Nazar, to make it even easier, sorry, this was done with hard money. All I had to put down was 10%. So I bought both properties for 22,000 and change. I'm currently doing the cash out refinance. They're both worth 200 to 215, so 400 to $415,000 together. I'll cash out at 75%. My mortgage will be 2,600. So I'll cash flow 1,800 and then I'll make about $20,000 plus getting my down payment back.
Martha, they're in Columbus, Ohio, or somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
yeah, Columbus.
So he's got a rental property that he just bought that he's all in at $0. In fact, he made money on the purchase and the positive cash flow. Like I'm not telling you to go to Columbus and buy real estate there. What I'm
I am.
saying, go ahead.
Listen, I am.
Yeah, he of course. But like I'm just telling you, open your mind about the possibilities. One of the first rentals I bought was in Kentucky for $50,000 a door. It was a two-bedroom, one bath house that I bought for 50,000. Like there is opportunities to build wealth, and I just want you guys to be at least aware of those opportunities. And this is for you and for anyone else that you may know of. Okay? Because this business is an opportunity business, and I think most of us got in it because of that opportunity. So take advantage of the opportunity. Good to see you on here, Sarah. Looking forward to seeing you next week when I'm down there. Hopefully you'll be there. All right, guys, have an awesome Thursday. I hope that you find value in these meetings. And I didn't have a chance to read any of your comments there. I apologize. But yes, like if you guys want to invest in Columbus, go for it. Like your buy box might be different. I mean, I won't tell you what happened with those investment properties you bought, but there is risk associated with each one of them. But there's also a great ROI as well. So anyway, all right, guys, have an awesome Thursday. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at our training meeting then. Okay, see ya.